Hello, book friends. Terry from Terry Talks Books, or Ms. Terry B here on YouTube. Today I'm going to be doing something I don't think I've ever done on this channel before. I'm going to be doing a response video to a video I watched a week ago. I'm going to be responding to Shelly Swearingen's video, which I will link below, her channel and her video. Her video asking the question, why do some booktubers disappear? Quite a few people do that. They start a channel, they'll be around for a while, and then they just disappear. And I thought, that's a really good question. And she did not get into her presentation very far before I paused, ran and got my notebook and a pen. I was scribbling notes right away. I want to thank Shelly for putting that out there. This is something that I've kind of thought about in my head, but I never put it into any kind of organized fashion. That happens. And she did. And she, I think, provided a very nice framework that I can bounce off of. It's a very, very concise and elegant. I really do like it. And I'm going to do what just about every librarian out there knows you do, is you build on the shoulders of someone else. So I'm going to be using the framework that Shelly presented to talk about this from my own perspective, because I think that's what really got me. I thought, oh boy, do I have something to say about this. I don't always have that strong of a response. Hence, I don't usually do these videos. I might find them interesting and intriguing and I think about them, but I don't have that compelling, I need to respond to this. And the comment I left for Shelly was, I will be responding to this because, and I'll be responding from the point of view of someone who has been here on BookTube for 16 years and only has, I don't remember how many I had as of the comment, but today, 695 subscribers. That is barely a blip. That is barely a blip, especially for 16 years. So that begs the question, why am I still here? And then, see, I waited a week to put this out there, and Shelly rewarded me with a companion video where she talks about some of the reasons people stay, because that's really what I want to talk about. Not so much the reasons why, because she did that so well, but I am using it as a framework. But I thought, I've got to respond to this because, yeah, 16 years, I had some things to say. So here we go. The framework she provided was 3 points. Why do people leave BookTube? Why do they disappear? Evolution, or an inability to evolve with their channel and their content. The algorithm. And both number 1 and number 2, I totally got immediately. As soon as she made her point, my brain's off thinking, and I enjoyed what she had to say very much. So she had sub-points for each of these, and I pretty much guessed them. And then she got to number 3, and she said BookTube itself, and I said, oh, this will be interesting. What does she mean? What is she going to say about that? So I'll come back to what she meant. I'm going to go back to evolution, or an inability to evolve. And her sub-points, she talked about the overwhelm, and let's see here. Time and scheduling changes that happen. Those are 2 that I wrote down here. And I thought, yeah. Definitely, I think people they get overwhelmed. They think, oh, it looks like fun, and they join. I did that. I thought, oh, that looks like fun, I'll join. I had some other reasons, and I will discuss that. But it can get very quickly overwhelming. And especially if you're also learning how to do this. And then number 2 plays into the overwhelm, I think, the algorithm. And then time and schedule changes. Life happens, life changes. And so this ability to evolve and roll with it, if people don't, if they have an inability to do that, or they are unwilling to do that, they probably will disappear at some point. Maybe for a while, they may be here for a while and then disappear, or they may disappear very quickly. But my suggestion on that from 16 years is to even if you're like me, and I don't necessarily embrace embrace the change. I kind of like my things to stay the way they are, but that's not reality. I don't think they need to change as quickly and as often as they do, but they will change. And so you have to learn how to deal with that. And so I've done that. And then of course life changes, and over 16 years, my life has changed. You know, how much time I have to spend doing this, what my schedule looks like. Um, so really one of the things I would say is, and you'll hear me say this more than once, I think for each one of these, know your why. Okay, know your why. Why are you here? Why are you participating? And go for it. If you want to make a channel and you're so excited and you want to get on there, at some point relatively soon, think about what your real why is. What is your why? You need to know that. It will help you, especially as then you maybe need to evolve and go with the changes. So know your why, and kind of an extension of that, make it yours, whatever it is that's happening. BookTube has changed so much. I don't think we even called it BookTube when I started. It was July 2009. And I have left those old videos up. So you can go back and look at them. I'm awkward. My hair is brown. 16 years will do that. Yeah. And the types of things I talked about, the types of books I talked about has changed. My why has actually changed some. It really has. And so I've recently, you may have noticed, I've been kind of evolving a little bit. I've had to rethink these things. It's like every once in a while you're going along and you think, I need to rethink this. Things aren't quite the same, and I need to rethink this. I don't want to disappear. So I'm going to rethink this and you know, make some changes and see about this evolving thing. Embrace it a little bit, okay? So again, you know your why and make it yours. Okay, the algorithm. I had to chuckle. I just chuckled. As I am now, I chuckled when Shelley brought up the algorithm, because recently, okay, first of all, when I first started, I don't know, I don't think algorithms were a thing, were they? Were they a thing in 2009? We didn't have all those statistics and how you're doing and things like that. I didn't pay attention to them if they were there, but I don't think they were there. So I just never have. You know, it's not a part of my why for me, why I'm there, or you know what motivates me to do anything. I don't chase algorithms. I'm not doing this as a business, and I'm getting old and cranky, and just get off my lawn. So do I care about the algorithm? Not really. But I did start looking at it because, you know, I have some young people around me and they get very frustrated sometimes with their lives are run by algorithms. My life was not run by an algorithm. And now I just don't let the algorithm do that. And young people don't have that. Maybe for me now, it's more of a natural defense against that. I don't care. I don't care enough to let it dictate to me what I'm going to do. But young people get very discouraged sometimes by the algorithms. They also get, you know, all sorts of things, just bots and trolls, and they don't have the defense against that yet, maybe. And it's bothered me. I hurt for them because I can go, whatever. But I started looking at it because I know it's a thing. I know it's a thing. I know it's a thing. And I've even wondered too, where I was like, I'd put up a video. It's like, here I am. I was like, okay, I need to come back and I need to be more consistent. I know this. Have I been consistent? No. Do I know I should be consistent? Yes. Your channel would probably grow some, Terry, if you would be consistent. Show up, right? I know this. And so I'd put up a video and then I'd put up another video. Every time I put up a video, when I first just made a dedicated effort sometime this year, I would put up a video and I'd lose 5 subscribers almost immediately. 5, 4, 8, whatever. It's like, watch the subscriber number go down. Woo. And it's almost like I put up a video and I'm reminding people that I'm there, and they go, oh, I meant to unsubscribe to her. Doesn't make you feel very good, right? Especially if you put some work into it. But I'm not entitled to anything. I'm not entitled to anything because I put the work into it. And that's not why I'm here. So the algorithm, yeah. So I have paid some attention to it. And I've gone behind the scenes and I've looked at the statistics. I've seen the green up arrows. I've seen the, what does it look like with the, you're not doing so well. People aren't liking you. It's kind of what it seems like the statistics are telling you, right? They're, you know, and their graphics and things like that. It could just be so discouraging. But I thought I want to learn a little bit about what's going on here, and I have no explanation for the you know, are there gremlins in the machine? It's like every time I put one up, I lose 5. What's that about? It's not an encouraging thing when that happens, but I don't know. And I'm not going to chase that algorithm. And sure enough, things are doing a little bit better. So, but yeah, the algorithm, I can't help but think people do disappear because they are looking at that. Now, again, know your why. And if you're here because you're trying to, if this is your business, you're trying to make money, it might be very important for you to chase the algorithm. My advice to people, besides knowing your why, is to, you know, not to chase the algorithm. You know, maybe it's fun for you to chase the algorithm, then go for it. But I think a lot of people, it's not. It can be very discouraging. So don't chase it. We all know it's there. We all see it. We can see the numbers go up. We can see the numbers go down. And if you're trying to build a community, you know, that can be discouraging. You know, maybe nobody's leaving comments. Maybe nobody's seeing it. That's part of the algorithm, right? So, yeah, I thought that was very, very interesting. And I don't let it bother me, but I do realize that's me. And I'm a bit of a curmudgeon, a crank. Just get off my lawn, Google. And then BookTube itself, what Shelley was talking about there was comparison. And she put out a quote, I don't remember. I think it's something she's seen quoted somewhere, that comparison is the thief of joy. And I thought, I don't disagree with that. It gets people into trouble. Comparing yourself can get yourself into trouble. It can get you into trouble, okay, if you're comparing. Really what the truism is, and there was a little bit of a Shelley said, then Steve Donahue said, and then Shelley came back and said, and then I put, and then I said, right, I'll leave that here. But, you know, so she put out there that comparison is the thief of joy. And I thought, okay, I can see that truth that's embedded in that. And then Steve came along and he said, no, comparison isn't the thief of joy. Greed is the thief of joy. The greed game, which is a little bit, that's what Shelley called it. She comes back and says, okay, I see what he's saying. I see what he's saying here. And she called it the greed game. I go, hey, that's pretty good. And that is getting closer to what my response is. My first response was, where did I write it? Me. They're good. I'm good. We can all be good. We can all be good together, right? So we don't, it's kind of natural. It's a natural environment here on BookTube to compare ourselves. And comparison in and of itself isn't necessarily a bad thing. You can put it to a bad use, or you can put it to a good use. I have had to learn, because my feelings used to get hurt. They used to get hurt. But again, curmudgeon, crank, get off my lawn, right? My feelings don't get easily hurt anymore. I've got quite a bit of a thick skin at this point in the game. And quite honestly, when I can't help but say, oh, they did that. I was like, wow, look how that worked for them. I'm not doing that. This isn't working over here. So yeah, I see it. I can see it. But as a librarian, librarians are an interesting bunch. We really do stand on the shoulders of others, and we're just a very sherry bunch by and large. We give credit. You know, we say, look, I am, like I did here, I am basing my response here on Shelley's framework, and I'm going to link her stuff below. You need to go see this for yourself, okay? So we build on it, and we will often, you know, if permission seems to be a good idea, as a librarian, we would get permission from someone, from another librarian, to build on something that they've already done, and we would always give credit for that. And I think by and large, the book people here on BookTube are kind of like that themselves. We really don't mind. We don't want out and out, you know, copying and plagiarism with absolutely no credit. And right here, if I ever do something like that, or you perceive that I've done something like that, you can leave me a comment, be polite, but you can also leave a private message for me if you would rather do it that way. Sometimes if I don't, either I haven't realized that somebody else had done something like that or said that, and so I don't know to give credit, or I was in a hurry to get my video up and out, and I completely forgot to put something in the description box. So remind me if you see me do something like that, or ask me. You know, I don't mind, unless you're being, unless the person's a troll. You know, my feelings aren't hurt by things like that, and I think that makes us better for it. But where was I going? I do this. I ramble off. This is why I need a framework. So there's the bad version and there's the good version, and I have chosen to, you know, when I've noticed things that would be considered a comparison, I think, you know, how can I, either it'll just be good for them, and I truly am happy for people. I don't sit around getting jealous, and that's what I would say. Instead of greed, I would call it jealousy. And I think they're part of the same thing. Part of the same thing. And so I truly am so happy to see people succeed. I don't tend to get jealous of other people's successes. And sometimes I use it to motivate me to do better. So I looked around and I said, what are people doing? And I, you know, these are things I've known, you know, be consistent, show up and be consistent. Don't leave your subscribers hanging there wondering what happened to you. And I will come back to that. So, so a theme that I'm going with here to address all of these things is know your why and make it your own. And I don't know how many times I will end up repeating this here, because now I'm going to talk about Shelley's companion video, which is also linked below, where she came back a week later. Since I waited a week, I get to kind of address both. I get to respond to both of these in one video. Yay. But she talked about the kind of the reverse. Why do people stay? You know, there are people like me who stay. Why do we stay? 16 years, 695 today subscribers, and don't always get a lot of engagement, don't always get a lot of views, but that depends. That depends, and I'll come back to that. But why am I still here? Well, really, I know my why. And I have figured out how to embrace the change, to evolve as times have changed. So How do I want to do this? How do I want to do this? Shelley says some of the reasons people stay. She said, I didn't quite understand. I'll have to watch this again. Where she talked about an audience of one. So I'm going to use her point. She has 6 points here on why people stay. An audience of one. I'm going to make this one my own because I'm not real clear. For me, an audience of one, I would be here even if, because I know my why. I know why I'm here. I know what I want to do. And I'm making it my own. I have been for a long time. Even if I only had one person I thought was watching, and maybe and sometimes I've only had like one commenter. I'll get one person leaving a comment, and bless her heart, she shows up regularly and leaves a comment. Thank you, Emily. When others have just not been there, for whatever reason, my feelings aren't hurt. But, it's like, if even one, that is encouragement for people to stay. I've seen people leave, ask at the end of their video, if you have nothing to say, just leave an emoji. And they might tell you what kind of emoji. If I don't know, I'll just put a smiley face and say, hi, I was here, kind of a message. It helps people. It encourages them. So even if I only had an audience of one, I would still be here. And so let's do those things maybe that help each other be in that spot where it's such joy to do it. And we know our why, that we'll just be here even if there's just one. Intrinsic motivation. I'm with Shelley. I love talking about books. And in my day-to-day life, I have to be very careful because not everybody likes to talk about books as much as I like to talk about books. Everybody knows I love to talk about books, and they will sit and smile at me, but it's like, okay, let's talk. I guess we should talk about something else. Am I boring you? I'm sorry. But here, we can all support each other. This is awesome. It's a place I can show up and I can talk about these things and be passionate about it, share with you all. And it is a passion. And I'm going to read to you the description of my BookTube channel. It kind of does capture that idea. And it says, I need to update it a little bit. I'm a librarian. I'm a retired academic librarian. Okay, so for close to 30 years, I was an academic librarian. So I'm a librarian with a passion for helping others navigate the insane world of information. After hours, I read voraciously, then talk about it here on my channel. And that's my description. And that is a good part of my intrinsic motivation. And, what I did as a librarian, I didn't really talk about books. That's not really what an academic librarian does. And not necessarily what a children's librarian or a school librarian does, or a public librarians, there's the reader's advisory and, and you can write book reviews and things like that. So you can fit that in. But as an academic librarian, it was not so much about that. So I needed an outlet. That was part of why I've started my channel and why I'm still here. So the intrinsic motivation, again, know your why. That really helps. It really helps. Embrace experimentation. Now, this was initially a big reason for this was a part of my why when I very first started in July of 2009. I needed a sandbox. I needed a place where I could learn how to talk at the little dot on your camera. It's so awkward. Hello, are you in there? It is so awkward. And I needed a place where I could maybe do something fun and practice my presence when I'm being recorded. I need to act like I'm talking to people that are in front of me instead of a dot on my phone. Get used to hearing what I sound like because we never sound the way we think we do. And, when we hear ourselves speak, it's a shock, a lot of these things. And finding out how many times you say, you know, and I still do it. I still do it. I had to learn not to do it, and I'm still relearning. I got out of the practice, and it's been tough. But every time I rewatch my video, it's a reminder. So yeah, that's partly why I was here to do that. And so I have quite the intrinsic motivation and embrace experimentation. I was experimenting. That was a big part of it. I'm still experimenting. The experiments are just different now. I'm re-entering this phase. You might have noticed I've been doing things on my channel, including this. Let's see here. Read and post at your own pace. You know what? Make it yours. That's part of make it yours. You do not have to be Steve Donahue. He's special. I don't think he sleeps. And then there are people who, they're not Steve Donahue, but they're regular. Some of them put several videos out a week. I admire that. That is awesome. There's some once a week. There's some once a month. I came across one today, and this person is just consistently once a month. And I thought, this is good. And she has quite a nice subscriber count. And from what I can tell, she gets engagement. But she shows up. She does show up. And so you don't have to be able to read a lot. I have a whole back catalog of books that if I, had one of those months where all I've really been able to do is get through one book. It happens sometimes. Life happens. And things get busy and I don't get a lot of things read. There are a lot of things I have never talked about here on this channel. I can talk about those books as a group, as a genre. I can talk about individual titles. There's so many things, but you might have to sit down, see what other people are doing. That's where the comparing yourself isn't always a bad thing. That is a bit of comparison and go, oh, they're doing that. Oh, that's probably a really good idea. Maybe I'll do that. But read and post at your own pace and make it yours. Let's see here. I think I already talked about Shelley's comparison. Yeah, I talked about that. Comparison being the thief of joy. And then Steve's response, and then my response. I think I already talked about that here. Value the community. Okay, I'll try not to get emotional here. But value the community was number 5, and then also your comments, number 6. And these kind of, for me, go together. I was watching this video earlier today that Shelley just put up yesterday, where she talks about reasons people stay. And that we value the community. So value the community, but don't depend on it. Otherwise, there might be some discouragement there. So, but know that we like to encourage each other, and we do value each other, and maybe we need to say it more often. And then Shelley talked about how people disappear, and that can hurt those of us who are still here and who are watching. Sometimes someone has died, so they disappear. We may or may not know that happened. Sometimes we do know that happened, and we miss them. We miss them because we valued them. We valued their contribution to the BookTube community. And we need to maybe let each other know. Some people are very good at this, but it was kind of a call to me to be in those comments more and encourage people. And it's a part of the reason why I'm doing this response video is I want to encourage people. If I can be here for 16 years and have only 695 followers and I'm still here, there's some reasons for it. And I want to share that, and I want to help you and encourage you. And so hopefully I'm doing a little bit of that. But when Shelley talked about people just disappearing, and we don't necessarily know what's happened to them, but when they just disappear and it really hurts, I kind of went, oh, ouch. They disappear without a word. They don't say anything. I have done that It's part of the reason. I don't blame anyone else. I don't blame anyone, even the algorithm, for the size of my channel, because I have disappeared and I have disappeared. I've always come back. I didn't ever intend to just be gone forever. But sometimes once you get away from it, it can be very hard to get back into it, and you feel a little bit shy. You lose your mojo, you find yourself umming and knowing, and then you're embarrassed, whatever it is, okay? And it can be very difficult to get yourself back into posting on a regular basis. And there have been 2, 3, I don't know how many times over those years that I have disappeared, and I did not say anything. And so I want to apologize to my subscribers that that experienced that with me. And I am so sorry. That is because, not necessarily an excuse, but I didn't value my own contribution, because I do have a bit of a thick skin and I can just kind of soldier on, you know, because I have my own reasons for doing it. And I'm not necessarily, I just don't know how much other people maybe enjoy seeing me appear in their feed. I don't assume that. I have no reason to think that people don't, but I also, you know, I don't assume that. And so I just didn't think to really leave any, you know, I'm going to be gone for a while and I'm not sure when I'll be back. I think I'll be back, but I'm not sure and I don't know. And then 2 years go by. But then your comments, okay, this is, oh my gosh, it is so wonderful. I'd be gone for 2 years, and every time I've done the disappearing act, as soon as I show up, I just have had a flood of comments of you lovely, lovely book friends say, I'm so glad you're back. I'm so glad to see you. We've missed you. I missed you. And, you know, it was very humbling, you know, because I just didn't understand, you know, I'm this little bitty person over here in my little bitty corner. And so I just didn't understand. I didn't understand that maybe that is actually hurting the community, you know, that there are people who go, gosh, you know, does she not like us anymore? What happened? Or has something happened to her? It often comes out of a place of care and concern. So if I plan on taking any, I will be using the community post area. If I think I've been gone for a little bit too long, maybe you get used to seeing me once a week, and I have not been able to post for whatever reason, I'll try to use that to say, hey, I'm still here, I'm fine, and I'll be back. Just had a glitch, had a little life glitch here, had to deal with some things. And if I think I'm going to be gone for any length of time, or I just get too discouraged or something, I will make a quick video and put it up and say, hey guys, I think I'm going to be away for a while. I'm okay. I'm good. You know, and so, you know, think about those things and just know that even if you don't know it, you're a part of the community and you do matter. And there are going to be people out there who care and who will miss you. And when you come back, they're going to be wanting to throw a party. Yeah. So just know that. And I do thank Shelly for mentioning that. She did not put that in her video, in her companion video there I don't think she put it there, you know, to even address that. You know, she was just saying, hey, you know, wow, here's this thing, and you know, we care. This thing happens and we care. But she wasn't addressing it at anyone in particular, and I don't even know as though she knows my history of doing that. But I do thank her because, you know, it's helping me in my own growth, my own evolution as a part of this community to you know, it isn't just about me and me having a thick skin. I do, you know, need to realize that if I don't participate, people, I'm leaving them hanging, and that's just not, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that to y'all. So anyway, I hope that I have said something helpful and that this makes sense. I had a lot of things to say, and at this point, I'm not even sure how many things I didn't say that I planned on saying, about, where I've come from. But I hope I made it clear from a perspective of someone who's been here for as long as I have, but my channel is still tiny. I wanted this response from that perspective to be out here. So I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below. And if you really don't have anything to say, leave me a little thumbs up or a smiley face or both. Say hi. I like knowing that you're there. It does mean something to me, and I'm trying to get that balance of having a thick skin and caring all at the same time. See you later, book friends. Bye-bye.